Hi, my name is James, and this is the third video in my Conversion to Catholicism series, and it's a shorter one today. One may say all sorts of good things about the Catholic Church, and see my first two videos, but at the end of the day, what about all the pedophiles? To address that massive issue, we must look outside the Church to the political world. Starting around 2015, many in the West, including myself, began to question political norms. There was Brexit in the UK and Trump in the US. This climaxed during COVID when most governments locked their populations in their homes and injected them with untested substances. Many realized that the ideas we were told about how government works aren't actually how the world works. So it turns out that society is run behind the scenes by people whom you've never heard of, who, yes, often happen to be pedophiles. So if you want to learn about this, I suggest Martyr Maid's series on Jeffrey Epstein. So Epstein is the sort of person who runs the world and was groomed to do so from an early age. But to bring it back to the topic of this video, whatever the facade, all organizations that have influence in society have been captured or are in the process of being captured by this group of people. Conquest's third law states the simplest way to explain the behavior of any bureaucratic organization is to assume that it's controlled by a cabal of its enemies. The bad news is that we haven't figured out how to stop them yet. The good news is that a lot of energy is being spent trying to figure it out. After I came to understand this, if you told me there was an organization of over 1 billion people that had incredible influence on society, I would tell you that organization is probably controlled by pedophile bureaucrats. Why pedophiles? Well, because pedophilia is the common end state of degeneracy and pedophiles can be easily controlled. Why bureaucrats? Because they can best hold power. Truth and justice demand the heroic. Tyrannical control only requires nameless people who do what they're told. There are very few heroes these days and an endless supply of people who will follow orders for power. At the very top of the church, meaning, the level of the Pope, the cardinals, the bishops, we would expect a significant percentage to be there expressly to oppose the church. And frankly, this explains their behavior oftentimes. Now, I want to be clear that I assume most Catholic leaders are faithful servants of Christ. But what I'm saying is that these aren't the people with the ultimate say. The leaders wielding power are the bad guys operating behind the scenes. Learning this removed any organizational opposition I had to the Catholic Church. The West is in a war that it's losing, and so seeing an organization losing the war is no longer a disqualifier or even really surprising. Protestants can mock the Catholic Church for this, but they can only avoid it by either regular church splits or by being unimportant, neither which is healthy. Since the final video will talk quite a bit about the church's hierarchy, I'll leave most theory about church leadership until next time. The one thing I want to say is that I found the same sorts of issues when studying scripture on church hierarchy as I found with salvation. Protestants skip over a lot of verses to make their case, and most ignore church history. They might wonder why there's so many verses about Peter in the Gospels, but it rarely goes beyond that. So a good book to start with is Joe Heschmeyer's Pope Peter. I find Joe Heschmeyer to be the most helpful of the Catholic apologists. Lastly, I want to talk about the choice I made about which church to attend. For those who don't know, because of the crisis of the church right now, Catholics have 3 options, basic parish options. The first is to go to a run-of-the-mill Catholic church. The second is to go to an SSPX church, which tries to maintain its connection to the Catholic hierarchy while rejecting modernist influences. The third is to go to a Sedevacantist church that believes that the Catholic hierarchy is so corrupted as to be illegitimate. Sedevacantist means the seat is empty. In other words, there is no pope. As I mentioned above, parts of the Catholic Church have been taken over by people who are actively trying to destroy it. So at a given church, you'll have a wide spectrum of people, from the equivalent of a liberal Episcopal to a conservative charismatic. The priest could be a flaming liberal trying to install their own brand of social justice. I don't want to paint all or even most priests with this brush, but it certainly happens. At any rate, there is so much mixture between wisdom and compromise, and being new to the faith myself, I didn't think that a kind of run-of-the-mill Catholic Church was a good idea. On the other hand, the sedevacantist route seems like a bridge too far for me. There being no legitimate hierarchy for 60 years would be quite incredible. So I've chosen the middle way and am attending an SSPX church. Their goal is to be faithful to the church's historic practices and teachings while staying as connected as they can to the church's hierarchy, which appears wise to me. I've been attending for 5 months now and have been greatly blessed. In the last video, I'll speak about the lenses through which Protestants and Catholics view the world. I think this will be particularly interesting, so be sure to check it out. God bless.